Hello, friends. Welcome again to this Leap interview series. And we have some impressive personality here today, Dr. Jake Madden. Welcome, Doctor.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. It's great to be about and, the opportunity to say hello and meet new people and share some stories. So, yeah, thanks very much for the opportunity.
Pleasure. Well, it's absolute pleasure to have him here. He is the head for the group of schools from Tokyo, um, about roughly 2,000 students studying in various levels. And I think 4 decades of huge experience, not just in Tokyo, but across the world. And let's try and uncover his inspirational journey today and see what we can learn. So, Dr. Jake, my first question is just tell us your current about your current institution and what you do over there.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Sachin. It's great to share the Alba story. My humble beginnings are in Australia. I grew up in regional New South Wales in the country. My formative education years in a couple of states, New South Wales, Queensland, and the Northern Territory. I've worked in classrooms. I've been principals of schools. I went overseas to the UAE. Looked after a school in Dubai, a school in Abu Dhabi, and today I'm in Tokyo. I'm a group head of schools for the Alba International Education System. It's a young group of schools. We developed from around about 2012 when we purchased Alba Japan International School, which is a K-12 IB school. And then we purchased a number of schools and kindergartens over the years after that. And as a company or as a group, they decided a few years ago that we need to revisit our strategy and our policies and such, and looked at the notion of turning these group of independent schools into a school group. Hence, I was invited to come along, to be the founding group head of schools, to bring everybody into this integration and unification sort of story, and to develop this school system at this stage. And that's predominantly where we're at the moment.
Fantastic. Well, you're shaping the new generation, which we're going to see as the citizens of tomorrow, and they are going to be the world as we now. So what we teach them in their schools is the kind of citizen we produce for tomorrow. So I think your work is absolutely at the roots, and I would just say these are the roots of the society. So these are the tomorrows of Japan and tomorrows of the world. So how do you see schools can play important role, and how that role is changing, and how you are bringing around that change into the schools in spite of having the local government restrictions or guidelines of what you should be doing. And sometimes in some of the countries, the guidelines are quite old, so they are no longer relevant. And sometimes, there are reasons that we don't understand have those restrictions. But then you think, well, you know what? I would like to get in this new stuff into the school. So what's your view, and what are you trying to do with your schools right now?
Yeah, no, it's a great conversation to have, because ultimately, schools are set up, to support the development of society down the track. And we all have different understandings or different viewpoints of what the purpose of schools are. But more and more, we are looking at this notion of preparing, future citizens, future leaders as such.
Absolutely.
So our Alba group is heavily focused on this notion of global leadership. Our vision is about transformation of education for all learners, in Japan and beyond. And we're very keen to see that grow and develop accordingly. We have underpinning our vision 5 core values. One is the global leadership concept. The second one is about entrepreneurialism and innovation. The third one is around wise risk-taking. The fourth one is about wise problem solving. And the fifth one is about effective communication. Now, those 5 core values are really underpin, the teaching and learning pedagogical frame that Alba brings to the table. Why is that important? Because we know through all the major companies, Deloitte's, and the like, that they produce these reports every year about the future skills that these students will need to have, to cope and lead in the future down the track. And so we incorporate, those skill-based attributes into our teaching and learning frameworks, so that we enable them to develop and grow, so they can take their place and make wise decisions, and to be able to stand tall and interact and collaborate and make a productive difference, and hopefully a positive productive difference, in the work that they do. And we see our work here at Alba unfolding in our communities around the world as our alumni, through their university work, go off and do wonderful things. And we're just seeing the fruits of those labours of the people before me coming to the fore as we work collectively to support our teachers, to help them create the proper learning environments that enable these students to thrive and grow, so that they can make a difference in the world that they will hopefully shape for our benefit down the track. So I think it's a very noble profession that we work in.
Absolutely.
And dealing with the different regulations that you mentioned, there's always some bumps in the road as we meander through. But I think that everybody has the right viewpoint at heart. They really want the best for the kids. They really want the best, and we work collectively with the agencies to enable us to provide the learning programs that we need, that we believe need to support the teaching and learning frameworks that we have in place.
Wow, fantastic. So again, going back to your schools and trying to understand how it works in general as well in Japan, how students study English as the language, or is it an optional language in the schools?
No, that's a good question. The Alba group is a dynamic education group, and we have a mixture of our international schools and our bilingual schools as well. The notion around English as the medium of instruction, is quite clear in most of the international schools all around. But the bilingual nature is very important as well, and enabling students to be able to think in 2 languages helps with the whole development. So the Japanese is most of our students' first language, even though that our language of instruction is in English, and that's a desire that our parents also want as well. If we're going to be true to our value of global leadership and getting these students out into the world and to make a mark in whatever field that they encounter. Obviously, the universal language of English, is a positive thing that our parents are looking at, and we can develop that accordingly. Our bilingual schools have a mixture of processes. Some of those are integrated, some are separated, depending on the philosophy of each individual school and why parents choose to send them to those schools. But we support them along the way, and it seems to be going quite well.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, let's try and pick your experience in this field, which is about 40 years of your experience, and see that as it stands today in the schools, what are the things that you think should be there, which is obviously your wish list, and you see that that's something that should happen in coming months or years, which will enable educationists like you to facilitate the students even better?
I think it's a good question. I think when I look at the work that we're doing here at Alba, right, we have some IB schools, we have some Cambridge International curriculum schools as well. And but overarching our approach is that we're very heavily centred on this notion of inquiry-based learning, right? So it's very much about encouraging our students to ask questions, to think critically, but most importantly to solve real-world problems. Our learning is student-driven, is fostering a real deeper understanding and engagement around it. So this notion of inquiry-based learning is at the forefront of our teaching and learning framework. Remember our 5 key core values.
Yes.
This notion of global leadership, is really caught up in this sense of global citizenship and helping our students to learn to navigate the diverse cultures, look at the global challenges that are facing the world today, not just war and conflict, but things like the climate change, looking at those weather patterns, the food distribution routes and such, and helping our students to really engage with some empathy and responsibility. We also have a strong emphasis on like this notion of ethical leadership, sustainability, and this social responsibility. That's all tied up into that notion of what it means to be a global citizen, or which leads into that global leadership. The third key thing I think we do really well is that it's about students. That's what we're here for. Learning is about the work the students do. So students having agency on their learning, taking ownership, choice, voice, and such is really important. And not just about goal setting and building some self-assessment activities, but it's also about this notion of like an autonomous decision making, helping building the capacity in the students to do so. And I think ultimately underneath that is our effective communication, which is training students to express their ideas across the various platforms, whether they be through the technological world or through languages. So we're really supporting both that academic and that social success. I've mentioned entrepreneurialism and innovation. We encourage that sort of critical thinking to take that initiative, because if you want these students to be global leaders, they've got to be at the forefront, and they've got to be able to take initiative and think on their feet and such. Because there's going to be lots of complex problems that they're really attending. So there's lots of things in that as well.
Yeah.
And it's really about a cross-disciplinary integration. And I think that's where, what the Alba world, and that's what we're trying to achieve and put together.
Yeah. And one of the complex problems is the need of digital skills and AI skills on the technology front, where, every workplace every field, every domain you talk about, you need these digital skills, and AI foundations need to be stronger. So right now in Japanese education system, um, is there oh, I guess, you know, my question shouldn't be limited to that, because I think you have IB schools and you have
Mm.
national other schools as well. So in this education system across the boards, um, do you see the inclusion of digital skills and AI skills already, or it's something that you think is yet to come?
Oh no, I think that we're all touched, by this rapid rise of AI, across our world, our workplace, our personal space, our hobbies, everything sort of built around this notion of uh, you know, artificial intelligence, and I think it's a good thing, to be said. I think there's opportunity to help students, learn, whether we personalise the learning, where we increase the access to information, where we use tools to improve the engagement of things. But it's also about us helping them to develop a very strong digital literacy understanding, how to use the tools effectively, responsibly. I mean, obviously, we need to be AI aware. We need to understand how it works, how it uses, and what the ethical implications are.
Absolutely, that's so
But
important.
but it's also about helping them to be creators, not just users of that technology. It's not about cutting, pasting, and or answering a question for me. And
Wow.
put that in, but it's really about design, helping them to automate their thinking and their task work. Really, we want students to be job ready, don't we? They
Absolutely.
leave grade 12 and they want to be able to access at their fingertips the stuff they need to help them learn. And that's what I think the benefit of this AI world is. I know there's downsides. I know there's lots of conversations we need to have. I know that, but I think that as educators, we've got to use tools in our midst to help students learn and to be more productive in their learning tomorrow than they are today. And if we can do that, we're doing the right thing. We make
I
mistakes along the way, but certainly we will, give it our best shot and support the kids as best we can.
Yeah. Impressive. I think your expression was absolutely impressive. I think you nailed the educational part of this technology evolution, and not just being just the users, but be the thinkers and problem solvers using that technology. Don't just be the users. I think some of the very valuable points that you mentioned, given us lots of insights on education in general. And I think as you said before, the word noble, yes, it is that kind of work that you all are doing at Alba and in school education in general. So, well, thank you very much for your time. And yeah, any closing words?
No. Well, I suppose from our perspective, we're about collaboration, and we're about supporting. And if anyone's out there and they want to reach out and be a part of the ALBA conversation, more than happy to engage in that. At the end of the day, we're about helping our students be the best versions of themselves. And in today's world, it means different things to different people. And we need to support and develop and provide that opportunity. I think education is in a real interesting period of time at the moment, and I think it's a really exciting time to be involved. So, but yeah, thanks very much. I really appreciate the opportunity. I wish I had more time to share and have a chat, but
Well,
it's been
definitely
great.
we will have more conversations as we go along, and I'm sure we probably have opportunities where we can probably talk on specific topics of your expertise, and we create those opportunities for our listeners worldwide to get some benefit of your knowledge and experience. So thank you so much for your time today. It was brilliant to have this conversation.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Sachin. You take care, and we'll catch you somewhere along the road, and most likely online somewhere. So thanks very much.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Absolutely. Thank you.